types of sports with Schoode and Tor. Football discussion on the internet.
Oh, it's both types of sports with just Schoode right now. I am happy you are here. If you're in the room watching live, hit that like button. Don't be scared. Don't be nervous about hitting it. It won't hit you back, and it helps something. Still haven't been able to figure out what. It is both types of sports Friday rendition. We are going to be live. I assume Sal's will be on at some point. If not, we're still going to be live. That's the way it fucking goes. Gigantor will be joining me at the bottom of the hour. And it is a good looking Friday. Friday makes a little bit of sense to do these shows because the Thursday night game can be really boring and pedantic and set offense back 15 or 20 years. I love the fact that they're now just handing the ball off to CeeDee Lamb in Dallas. It's like, all right, we're giving up on throwing you the football. We're just going to go ahead and treat you like a running back. So we'll talk about that. The game last night wasn't entertaining, but it certainly was. Can you fucking imagine if they would have lost to the New York Football Giants inside of that strip club stadium that they have there in Dallas after winning 14 out of the past 15 matchups? This is not a rivalry, right? Like, I no longer concern myself with the goings on in Ashburn, but one of the things that was the most frustrating about supporting that team, and there was a laundry list. I mean, if you want to talk about fighting through some bullshit to be a fan of an organization, the Washington Redskins in the Dan Snyder era, that you could write you could write your dissertation on it, whether it's the off the field nonsense, the on the field nonsense, the off the field nonsense. I'm talking about the shit that didn't have anything to do. You know, when a Kansas City Chiefs player gets stabbed, you know, or gets arrested for domestic violence, all the shit that happens with football players. Yet I'm not saying it's not a big deal, but it's not. They're going to go out and win the Super Bowl the next year. And whether it's right or wrong, people tend to look past all of that extemporaneous garbage. Oh my God. Yeah, you can't use Safari. Need to use Chrome, not Safari. Anyway, what was I saying? Like Brandon Banks getting stabbed in a nightclub when you're 2-10, 3 o'clock in the morning, it hits a little different. Who was the guy that was in? There was I forgot. It was a wide receiver that was in One Loudon and like ran over somebody. It wasn't a Shimago Atagwe, was it? Somebody will help me out with this. I think it was a DB, and just ran over somebody out in front of the fucking restaurant, in front of the Alamo Draft House. I mean, we're talking about the owner suing the fans. You know the punch card list. You know the dance card. When you showed up, you saw the bands that were playing. So when I look at this off the field shit, it's different because I'm just so weathered and I'm so accustomed to it. And that's why when I'm sitting there watching the Tennessee Titans continue to stick with Will Levis, when it is very apparent to the rest of us that watch football for a living that he can't fucking do it unless they're going to get him a thermos full of Delta 8s, spark up a butane lighter underneath one of those big Yeti fucking furnaces, you know what I mean? Turn that shit into sludge and then dump it down his fucking throat. You ain't going to be able to do it. That's why it's also incredibly interesting to me. It was not Monte Nicholson. It's incredibly interesting to me to watch these healthy franchises. And I talked about this with Sal's. I talked about this with Tor. I've spoken about this at great length this season. When you see Justin Fields go to the Pittsburgh Steelers And all of a sudden, he's not a gong show. All of a sudden, his defense is getting him the ball back. He's not being asked to do things that are too big for his britches. He has to go out there, use his athleticism, deliver the ball to the weapons, let TJ Watt get the ball back for you twice a game. And all of a sudden now, Russell Wilson is expendable. Would that have happened if he's, sitting in Carolina right now, sitting in Jacksonville right now? Shit, man. Jacksonville was so goddamn convinced that they had their man that they paid him $1 billion to go out there and look completely disinterested on the field, and then worse yet, disinterested in front of the microphone. Can't wait to hear your thoughts on the ref show last night. Clay Martin's shoulder must be sore from bro. I don't know. Here's what I'm going to tell you right now is that the NFL behind the scenes has made a decision. Whether or not they want to acknowledge it at all doesn't mean nothing to me. It's your actions that define you, not the bullshit that you spew out afterwards. They think the refs are a big part of the show. We have refs on every television network describing what the refs are doing, explaining to us what the refs are doing. If you criticize the refs, you're up shit creek. The NFL has decided that the refs are what's best for business. There's no other explanation. And if you watched last night, when there's a ref show, the ratings don't go down. People don't walk away. None of us have the balls. There's my buddy Sean Salisbury. I knew he's going to show up. This internet, man, throws hitches in our giddy up. We just want to talk ball, and we got to sit here and worry about StreamYard links and 1080p and Jesus Christ, make sure we're wireless and the Wi-Fi is turned off. You're not sharing passwords.
Use the same thing every week, and all of a sudden one week they decide they're not letting me in, so I got to manipulate the system. So screw them. It's good to be back in with you, brother. How you doing?
Man, I got a bunch for you. You let me know when you got to go, because I was looking at your Twitter and you're all fired up about what Deshaun Watson said, and I was so glad because I am too. But I want to start with last night. You're in Texas. God bless the Texans. I don't care what happened last week. I still think they're one of the best teams in the NFL. I think they might be the best team in the AFC, not named Chiefs. But Cowboys losing to a team that Dak has never lost to for was it a fourth or third game in a row at AT&T Stadium they would have lost. Don't tell me that wasn't a gigantic win, no matter how casually they're playing it now. You're talking about every guy with a microphone calling for Mike McCarthy's job if they figure out a way to lose that game. And the Giants hung around, man, and they got one of the best young wide receivers in the game. If he doesn't get concussed, I don't know how that game ends. How big of a victory in the state of Texas is that, despite whatever the national pundits are saying, Sal?
Chad, I think it's a friggin' huge win. And listen, if it's not pretty to our eyes, like, pleasing, no penalties, they play great. They throw for 300, rush for 130, defense pitches a shutout. We're all like, oh, what an ugly win, as if ugly wins matter. You'll have more ugly wins during a season in football than you will good wins that are like, they're all good wins, but any like pleasing to the eye, the optics wins. Hey, sloppy game, yes. On the road, it's always hard to win. And I know it sounds so cliche. Winning in the NFL is a brutal gig, or we'd have teams going 13-4 every friggin' season. So it's huge for not just getting in a win column, but a week of relaxation maybe not, but at least you chalk up the win. Can you imagine, as sloppy as it was, if they lose that game?
Yeah.
What they'd be saying, not only in Dallas, but nationally. You're going to lead every show with Dallas. They won. I've never understood the concept. Now they're going to go watch the tape and say, we can't keep doing this, because eventually you're going to run into a real good team and you're going to have penalties and you're going to get your ass handed to you. We see that happen as well. And that will happen. It happened to the Texans against Minnesota. They don't have to stay on sides. They can't beat a team and they got their ass handed to them. So for me, it's sloppy, yes. But I'm going to tell you what, I'd rather have an ugly, brutal performance win than I would a pretty loss. Says, oh yeah, man, we got it going on the edge. We're putting all these points up. We just couldn't stop anybody. Parsons being banged up. This team, you'll take it any way you get it. They're hard to come by. Hell, getting to 10's tough enough. So for the Cowboys situation, I don't give a rat's ass about ugly wins. I love them. They happen. And I've been a part of plenty of them. And I've been a part of some pretty losses where, man, we look good, but cosmetically, but soul-wise, we got our ass handed to us. So to me, I'll take it and it'll back the crowd off for a minute. but not for long. Even in the win, the Cowboys are going to take abuse because you know what the narrative is going to be. Well, you're supposed to win there. You guys win all the time. You're the Dallas Cowboys. They're a bad football team. Well, you went and got it done, and Dak played solid football, really accurate football last night. Penalties drive me crazy, and you are right with the referees. I was listening to you open there. They're not the best thing about referees is when we're not talking about them. No disrespect to them because I wouldn't want that damn job, but they cannot be the state. Al Michaels, if Al Michaels and Herb Street could have walked out of the stadium, they would have.
Yeah.
That's how bad it is. And we're seeing more and more of it. They're not the show. If they are the show, then they need to get their ass, and the NFL needs to send down an addendum to their contract or a mandate saying you have to show up and be accountable for 15 minutes after and answer questions like every other swinging unit does. I've never understood why referees with gambling at a high point, I'm not saying they're on the take, but to alleviate some of that, why is it when you make a call and we don't understand it? Like in the Baltimore, not Baltimore, but the Kansas City Atlanta game, you can't miss that pass interference call. Why doesn't, even after you just cannot miss it, and we should be able to review every friggin' penalty there is, not give them more red flags, but you should review them all. They're all judgment calls. You should have been able to review that play. Might have changed the entire course of a game. Same way with this. The referees, if they can't get it right and we go to review, that's another part that we have to discuss and go about it. But listen, man, when you have that many penalties in a game, they're better for them that we don't talk about them. But with the gambling, they need to go into a press conference to tell me why that interception, why that pass interference wasn't called. I'm not going to, just like the player, you got to live with the good and the bad. And if you call a perfect game and they get 90% of it right, I want to know about the 10% as well.
Right.
Why don't they have to be accountable like the rest of us? I don't want to hear 2 days later the NFL apologizes, they missed the call. Are you giving them the player the win back? No, you're damn not. Make them be accountable and put them on every single week. They don't just get judged by their officials, but they got to go in and answer why they made a call after the game, just like the rest of us did.
Sals, talk to me about the Bengals are not an 0-3 team. I don't know what's going on with their defense, and take nothing away from Jayden Daniels and what Washington did, but San Francisco's 1-2. The Vikings are 3-0. The Seahawks are 3-0. And I'm not trying to say this to take away people beating the opponent that's in front of them, but do you attribute this to the season's longer now? Players have to have that in the back of their brains. They're not popping pads as much in practice. You and I know that. It's been that way for a while now. I just feel like anybody hitting because they always trot those stats out, don't they? No team that goes 0-2, they're not making the playoffs. Like, I don't believe that. The Jacksonville Jaguars are terrible. They were 2-6, 2-8, whatever they were. They turn on after that Broncos game in London. They go beat the Chargers in the postseason, give the Chiefs everything they can handle. What is a constant? The Chiefs are a constant, right? Like, I think Jim Harbaugh is going to run the ball. Like, I know a few of them. But when you look at these teams with these crazy-ass records this early in the season, both negative and positive, why is that happening, and how does everybody kind of remain consistent? Because it is happening.
I think a couple things, Chad. You just named a lot of them, but let me extend to some of them. One is there's talent. The teams that aren't the difference between the best team in the league, the Kansas City Chiefs, and the worst team in the league, whether you think it's Carolina or Jacksonville, whoever you think it is, the Giants,
right,
is a quarterback, about 2 or 3 extra players, and probably some health. It's really not much more than it really isn't. It's not much more than really good quarterback play, maybe some physicality or attitude. You got to have talent. But the talent on the last team, if you give Carolina Mahomes, they're not going Super Bowl, but in 2 years they're in the playoffs. Does that make sense? Get players around. So it's quarterback, and the quarterback play has been average at best this year. It's the lowest statistically we've had in a while. People are playing soft zone and making them be patient. Quarterbacks don't want to be patient. The good ones are smart ones. Stay patient, and it will throw it underneath 20 straight times if you have to. Injuries have played a big factor. Look at the 49ers. 3 of their best offensive players aren't in the lineup. Texans have been banged up. It's not the only thing, but it does come into play when your starter, Joe Mixon's out, and your third back's running it, and you're getting 2 yards of carry. There is a difference. So injuries, and that's another thing. And then a head coach, like an Andy Reid, Belichick, great head coach, a quarterback, and about 2 or 3 players. There's not much difference between one and the Chiefs aren't even playing great football, and they're 3-0. Mahomes has had 2 games where he's one under 200 yards, another one for like 217, but they got the quarterback that can do it. I don't think there's a great team in football, Chad. I don't. I don't think there's a great team. There's a great franchise. The Chiefs have been a great. This is they're on a run that says they're a dynasty. You know, they're creating a dynasty and have one. But right now, just like last year, they're not a great team. And the number one reason I believe, outside of your best players being hurt and talent pool pretty even on a lot of teams, even the bad ones, is that you. Don't let me lose my train of thought here on the one other reason. Oh, training camp. Okay. Is training camp, and you mentioned they're not pounding pads, you're saving legs because you don't have enough bodies to even practice physically. It's the length of training camp, man. Yeah, I don't mean you have to go 6 weeks and beat each other up, but even if you go an extra 10 days, but it's in shorts and a t-shirt, and you can't turn physicality on and off. You don't pound it as much and beat each other up. I'm not even talking about preseason games. I'm talking about on the practice field. This is when you should be getting out of training camp. This is okay now. So defenses are going to be ahead of offenses in the first month because there's more going on, and you can be physical on defense and still get by and line up correctly. I think it's the lack of training camp work and rhythm and offensive line, get them on the same page. Hell, you're in 3 weeks and one of them, a handful of pad practices, and you're playing. Yeah. So there is no doubt to average play, and it's as average a play as I've seen in a long time as a whole, not individual players, as a whole. But I can tell you this, training camp, anybody wants to tell me training camp has nothing to do with it is out of their damn mind. It is a big reason, that and injuries and the talent pool that's being equalized. If you got a great quarterback, you'll hang in there, but the rest of it's fact.
Yeah, I agree. There's my buddy. What's up, Jayden Daniels? Good to see you, buds.
Glad to be in. Sorry, pardon me. This was today my.
It's been a ring dang do already, but we're all here, and that's all that matters, my buddy. Let's go ahead and take care of these while we can. We do have super chats coming in. We do accept super chats on this program. Hit the like button, you cowards. Rick Austin 1111 4 sticks for Zeppelin. Rock on, my dude. Thank you so much for the support. And Brian Walrath from Natural Red Catering. Hey, shoot, as a Skins fan, I'm excited what I saw Monday night, but as a Skins fan, unlike many, I know not to get too excited. That's tough to do and thank you for the super chat, Brian. When Jayden Daniels goes out there, Sal's, and looks the way that he did, that was a 91.3% completion percentage, 2 touchdowns through the air, 1 on the ground. He led the team in rushing as well. You take young quarterbacks and you help them and you teach them how to become quarterbacks. I assume you teach them how to become athletes and men as well. Jayden Daniels has all the tools, and he's exciting, and he's got a veteran swagger, and he has respect in the locker room. He's got a lot working for him. But I'm watching him take vicious hits every single week, and there's just guys that never get that out of their system. You and I and Tor talked about Tua Tagovailoa lowering his head into DeMar. I mean, he's out of this league right now because he initiated contact. I'm looking at Jayden, and he's not. I mean, Robert Griffin III was built like an action figure, and he hit himself out of the league very quickly. If you were standing there next to that young man, seeing all the tools that he has, how do you get through to him and say, look, man, I know you're a competitor, I know you're a football player, but it's more important for you to protect yourself than pretty much anything else that's going on out here on the football field. How do you, as an instructor, convey that message?
And what's interesting, I don't want to coach all that ability and aggressiveness out of him and that tough factor out of him. But what I do want to coach out of him is he doesn't have to be a hero in the middle of the second quarter on a 7-yard run. I mean, it's just eventually those hits take its play, and defensive players feast on a quarterback in the open field. They just do. Listen, on 3rd and 7 in the fourth quarter with 1:30 to go, and you're at 7 yards or 6 yards, and you break out of that pocket and you got to take on a linebacker, Yeah. 14-7 lead, middle of the second quarter, first down, you gain 8 yards. And now it's 2nd 2, and you scramble out of the pocket, and there's 2 players between you and the first down. Get your ass down or out of bounds. We'll live to play 3rd and 4th down if it's in their field. So I love his aggressiveness, but you got to be a smart runner with the football, because regardless of I don't care if you're 230, I don't care if you're 175. Eventually, you're either going to get hit wrong and you're no good to me on the sidelines, or it's going to take its toll. Now, with that in mind, you also don't need to prove to your players anymore that you're not, a quarterback doesn't take the hits, that you're tough. I saw him at LSU do the same thing. See, that's the problem.
Yeah.
He did the same thing at LSU and was so dynamic. I think, and I'm saying this, and I'm not saying this hyperbolic, I think he's one of the 5 most dynamic players in the league already. Now,
Wow.
I didn't say best quarterbacks. I didn't say best. Most dynamic players. If this ascent continues, you're looking at special. And I'm going to tell you another reason why. So coaching it out of him, I don't want to coach it out of him, but you've got to convey to him, listen, you're no good handing Gatorade out to the backup quarterback for me. I have to have you in the damn lineup. I know what Gatorade handing it out's like. I didn't have his dynamic legs, right? So when you got what he's got, you got to almost guilt him into saying, all right, middle of the second quarter, 3rd and 10, scramble out. We're in their side of the field. I got you 8. Let me be smart and get down, because on 4th down, I can do the same thing, get you 5 more and get out. There, you got to be judicious, aggressiveness without being nuts, right? Sure. I love the kid. I go on every week in New Orleans, guys, real quick, and for the last 3 or 4 years, and I'm going to tell you that his improvement, my favorite thing about him, and I watched him when he was in the Pac-12 at Arizona State before he transferred. Got to Brian Kelly, first year, pretty good. Second year off the charts, wins the Heisman and deserved it. His ability to throw the deep ball, if you go back and watch every game tape from first year at LSU to second year, he did not take shots. It was almost like he was not afraid, but concerned about putting his defense in a bind, so he protected the ball. Last year, dude became one of the better deep ball throwers in college football, and he took the shots deep. What he's done, and he's accurate. You're either accurate or you're not. I can improve a quarterback with training him 2 or 3 percentage points. If you're a 65% guy, I get you to 67, 68 when we dial in on mechanics. If you're 58, you ain't going to 72. That'd be the complete outlier. Josh Allen from college to the NFL. I'm just telling you. And if you're Drew Brees, you're going to complete 70% with one eye closed and a blindfold on the other one, right? A patch on the other one. You're accurate or you're not. He's an accurate thrower. He's aggressive and he's smart and he's patient, which trying to teach a quarterback in his 3rd start to be patient, I got news for you, is damn near impossible to do, because they want to be a hero, just like when he runs. So all that being said, the guy is phenomenal. You do got to coach out of him trying to run people over in certain situations, but keep the aggressiveness in him. I friggin' love him. But my favorite thing is he's gotten better every year I've seen him. Every friggin' year. That tells me, has Trevor Lawrence gotten better every year you've seen him?
No.
Bingo.
Worse.
Thank you. Regressed, whether it's a coach or anybody. This dude has gotten better every single season from the time he was at Arizona State. And that tells me that he's not taking studying for granted, and he's sure as hell not taking leadership for granted. The Washington football team's got themselves a top 5 dynamic talent in the league.
Sean, the marquee matchup of the weekend for me, I loved your analysis on Jayden Daniels. I've never seen a quarterback for that team throw the ball like he did on that final pass for the touchdown. The marquee matchup this weekend is Bills-Ravens. Ravens 1-2, but better than that record, in my opinion. Who do you think has the edge in this? I mean, Vegas has them as a pick 'em. I thought that the Bills window was closed, but obviously it stayed open due to who I think is the most underappreciated football player right now, James Cook. Who do you think has the edge in this one?
Yeah, where is that game? Guys, I forget. Is that game in Baltimore or in Buffalo?
I'll check right now.
Baltimore.
There you go.
Okay, advantage Ravens. I think the Ravens overall are still a better team. Record doesn't say so, but do we really think that Cincinnati, like Chad, you mentioned, do we think they're going to go away and be a 3-win team this year?
No.
They're going to figure something out, just like we knew Baltimore would. Now, I don't like that Baltimore let off the gas in the second half of last week's game and allowed Dallas to creep their way back into it. They put it on him, but in that 4th quarter specifically, that they allowed him to at least make it to the point where if you were leaving the stadium to go tailgate at the end of the game, you turned your head over your shoulder and said, whoa, wait, what's going on here? But they're better. They're a better all-around team than Buffalo. Josh Allen's playing like a man possessed right now. Can you imagine if you take him out of that lineup, what's going to happen to that offense? Hopefully he doesn't get hurt. Another guy who needs to be smart on his hits. I like Baltimore in the game. At home, if it was in Buffalo, I'd get it. Buffalo Bills have taken all the stuff that people said about it. I'm with you, my man. I thought that this is a team that could miss the playoffs because the talent, they've lost some explosive weapons on offense. Probably can't even name a lot of their roster, some people. But, man, they have elevated their play. I think this is going to be a great game against 2 quarterbacks that are taking care of their business. I loved the way Baltimore stayed committed to the run, and it was pretty easy against the Cowboys. I like Baltimore in the game. I think overall, even though Baltimore has at 1-2, If I had to bet 10 grand and you said, Sean, you have to put it all on one team, I'm taking Baltimore this week. At some point, somebody's got to make Josh Allen one-dimensional and cover him up and not give up big plays. But Buffalo's showing me some resilience. Give me Baltimore, and I'd give you a field goal in the game. I'd lay 3 points on you. I think Baltimore's going to win the game in the pick'em. I still think they're the better team, although I am so enamored and impressed with the way Buffalo's come out to start September.
I want to ask you about Deshaun before you get out of here, Sean. I know we're getting up on it, but do you guys like the Josh Allen digs and shade he's throwing at Stephon Diggs, where he's going out there and saying, nobody's selfish, nobody cares, everybody gets the ball, kumbaya? Like, it seems to me that, first of all, I believe him. I believe that it's refreshing not to have to worry about that. And it doesn't look like Dalton Kincaid is grabbing him by the shoulder pads.
You clear clutter out of you get rid of the clutter. Quarterbacks need to clear clutter. Yeah, that's a good thing. But nobody in Houston wants to hear that because Stephon Diggs plays here, right?
I saw your tweets. I saw the same video you did. I was so glad you responded to it. I don't know if you saw it, Tor, but Deshaun Watson is being asked about why he didn't throw to a wide open Jordan Akins on 4th and 1, I think. And he comes out and says it was because he was a decoy wide receiver. Of course, Watson tried to run it himself and he didn't get anything. Sals, you did not like a wide receiver getting referred to as a decoy. I was hoping you could go into that before you got to get out of here.
I don't want to bore you guys, but let me tell you something. That you might as well have come up and kicked all us fans and coaches on his own team, take a steel-toed construction boot and kick me right in the balls. If you really saying that, listen, the biggest cuss word, aside from that nobody wants to hear on an opposing team when you call somebody soft. Well, if you're a coordinator, or a head coach, or a player, or a quarterback, or somebody who, or a fan, the word decoy, which we used to use back in 1950, even though I wasn't born, hey, run a decoy post. When we had one receiver run a post and one we lined up, and they were in a 3-point stance as wide out with Cliff Branch and Fred Biletnikoff. I don't know what game Deshaun's been playing. It sure ain't the one that we expect him to play. And you talk about an overpriced, overpaid player right now that's making nobody better on the team. And then to come out with this decoy, I'll guarantee you, they won't admit it, that the head coach and the coordinator and Stefanski are sitting in a room thinking, did he just use the decoy word? That's the biggest cuss word for a quarterback. Listen, we are at a time, because when you tell somebody he's a decoy, what's your initial thought? I'll jog this route. No, and then what happens if 3 other guys get their ass handed to them on their release, and my decoy guy, the safety, comes up and jumps the non-decoy guy, and you're running through the middle of the field for a touchdown, and the quarterback's part of his read, and I know Cleveland said this, go through our reads and we'll get to it. I haven't heard the word decoy mentioned by a coach. I go in the summertime, let me backtrack here, not backtrack, let me back up to a summertime with about 20 coordinators in college football. They invite myself and Kurt Warner to go, and then like 18 or 20 other coaches, and they rent a house in Florida, and a week all we do is talk, compare notes, watch tape, compare schemes, and it's the greatest week because it's all football and a bunch of dudes acting like idiots, but stealing stuff from that. Well, here's how we RPO and teaching concepts. If you would have said, oh, yeah, that guy's a decoy, the room would have stopped like an old E.F. Hutton commercial. What the fuck are you talking about? Because just it's like when you're a rookie in baseball, right? Or you're a backup and the starter goes out and you move a guy from third base to first base or first base to third base. Eventually the ball will find that guy. The ball is going to find your ass. Just like this. The decoy guy is going to be the one that's running scot-free through the coverage. There's no such thing. 5 up, 5 out, 5 are open. 5 are good through your progressions. And if you're going through your progressions and it takes you to the decoy, even if it was called a decoy and the coach was dumb enough to label it that, then you know what I'd say to you? Be a fucking football player and throw it to the open cat if that's what we're doing in your progression. See that guy standing there? Throw it to him. To me, for a talented guy like that to use the term decoy, it is I confess it's somebody else's fault. Don't blame me. And you know what? Even the smartest of us, or the people that the least talented of us, will throw the ball to that so-called decoy. Wonder how many touchdowns Breeze and Brady and Manning and Russ Wilson earlier in his career and Mahomes have thrown to the guy who wasn't supposed to get it, decoy. If I ever hear that word again, I'm going to explode. My head's going to explode for an offense. I have not heard a coordinator say that word in 30 years. You go be a decoy. and if you're running through, we're just not going to throw it to you. So you can lay down and do snow angels in a fucking on the field if that's what you want to do, because you're not getting it. Even if they play with 8 guys, because that's how we do it. That's the dumbest thing I've heard in a long time. And you know what? May God have, May God have mercy on your soul, and I award you no points, and may God have mercy on you. Isn't that Billy Madison?
I think so.
Yeah, stop it. He gets no points for that. And just that alone makes me want to call him into the office and say, don't ever use that 5-letter word again. It's a cuss word. Decoy doesn't work in this. And maybe that's why they're not any good right now.
Yeah.
He can't, he's not finding the decoy. Save it.
Well, how about the fact that he name checked the OC and the head coach in the same rant? And we saw Kyler do that a couple weeks ago, where he's like, "Oh, it's not my call. It's, hey man, you're the quarterback. You're out on the field. You got the ball in your hands. Like, don't put the coach's name in your mouth at that point."
That's my favorite. Coach calls a play. You've been in the league forever. You actually led the league in passing one year. They come up with a strong safety blitz, and you're running a toss out of a single backfield. There's nobody to block him. And he's standing on the line of scrimmage, and he's about 6'2", about 210, and he'd knock your dick in the dirt if he hits you. And you're sitting there saying, you know what? I think I'll still run it into the strong safety blitz. No, what you do is say, hey, check, or whatever it is. We're saying kill. And it's man blitz, throw a slant, a hitch route, or a fade on press coverage. So that's my favorite. We give you all this opportunity to change a play. You don't change it, and that's the coach's fault. So maybe we just call a bunch of call it and run it, and you don't get the opportunity to audibilize. That's my favorite, man. It's like, nah, it can't be me. Dude, you got the ball in your hand, grow a set, and check out of it, and then go deal with the coaches on the sideline. I've always felt it's better to beg forgiveness than ask permission as a quarterback. If you see something, you do it. Everything that comes out of his mouth now and what goes on, he's become part of the weakness of that football team. Those fans deserve better, and the coaching staff, I got to believe they sit in a room saying, every week it's something. And now we got decoy receivers on a guy that's going to bust toss his own coaching staff because they called it. Well, you check out of it. If you're a quarterback in this league, you got to be able to check out of a play. I teach my 12-year-olds to do that. Okay, 12 years old. You got to be able to do it. He's better than that, but man, he sure looks like a guy that's scrambling when it comes to football IQ and common sense on the field.
Raise your hand if you had the Steelers running away with that division in week 4. You would have made a lot of money if you bet that.
And Mike Tomlin's coach teams just don't lose a lot of games. They don't. Man. It's crazy. I don't know how they keep that up offensively, but we'll see.
I appreciate you, man. We kept you too long. I got y'all lathered up before you get out of here. I apologize.
I'm the one who kept you guys too long. You just completely ruined my decoy day, dude. Thanks. Appreciate you guys, man.
Love you, the episode. Love you too,
Sals.
He's the best. The great Sean Salisbury. Pleased to be giving him a follow on X and tweet him at Sean Unfiltered. Let him know you enjoyed him on the show. Ruined my decoy day, Tor. I think that's what we'll name this particular episode of Botas.
Gonna need to, and that's how I want a football guy reacting, and that's how you know he's a real football guy, where if there's just some nonsense being floated out there and you've been around the game for 30, 40 years, and it just pings in your brain like, that doesn't make sense. That's not a football thing to say. It's a dumb answer. The only appropriate answer I think Watson could have given was, yeah, the receiver was wearing 56 and he was an ineligible man down the field, and that's why I didn't throw it to him. The only way I get out of that, other than that, throw to the open receiver.
Also, I mean, we talked about, I hate to keep bringing up Kyler because he played amazing the very next week. And I think, the Cardinals are a very plucky team. I think that Commanders-Cardinals game is one of the most intriguing matchups of the weekend with Cliff Kingsbury going back. He's saying all the right things. But when Kyler comes out and says, it's not my responsibility where the ball goes, what? There's just things that come out of quarterbacks' mouths. You're like, that's not something we hear guys that do what you do for a living say. And Deshaun Watson saying decoy is just that.
Yeah, as the producer, it's not my responsibility to crack the mics before the show. Well, it is. It is the responsibility.
I got one that doesn't do that. I got one that him very well. He's a little overweight. He's having some social and personal problems lately. Unfortunately, you gave an example that applies to me and the way I make a living.
Yeah, you got Filer Murray over there messing it up.
Old Filer Murray, you gotta love him. Look at this, DC Sports Smart. I think he gets upset that I'm not a Skins fan anymore. But hey, look, man, it's not like we don't cover him. Thank you for the $20 super chat. Love when you guys talk Washington football. You didn't get a chance to chime, Tor, but I was bringing up with Sal's unbelievable performance. I mean, he's got to be the favorite for Rookie of the Year this year, accounting for all the points and really going out there. It became a shootout towards the end, and he's out there slanging and banging with Joe Burrow, but I don't know how you're still not concerned about the level of hits and contacts he takes and initiates on a weekly basis.
On the game-winning throw, I thought his season was over. The shot that he took in the pocket, I'm sorry, I said, oh my God, he got destroyed, and he threw the best ball I've ever seen from a Skins DC football team Commanders quarterback in my life. And I know hyperbole, I've never seen a throw like that from those colors and that team. But he is a scary person to watch if you're a fan of that team and you have a vested interest. Please just take a couple less hits a game. If we can start making small, intricate progress and you not taking cartoonish blows, then that is a win for the team because he's good enough. I think he truly is good enough to help to have this become a winning football team in Washington if he's on the field. Other than that, then it's Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler. We're going to run the ball 40 times a game.
Hey, man, Eckler's been he's got a concussion. I don't know if he's going to miss time, but he had way more left in the tank than I thought he did. He's returning kicks. He looks fast. He's got breakaway speed. I think he got the angry one, 2 weeks ago from Good Morning Football. That's been a nice pickup for them.
I'd say so. I thought that he was last year with the Chargers. He looked slow. He looked lethargic. I mean, there was a famous clip of this clip isn't slowed down, and it's Austin Eckler with tons of grass in front of him getting hawked by like a D tackle. He maybe just needed some fresh scenery to be reinvigorized in Washington, which when has that ever happened where a vet comes in and doesn't get worse? Oh no, he's improving the team. He's like a great culture guy also. I think it's a tremendous addition that they made.
Wanted to thank Sean Salisbury for coming on the program again. Please tweet him at Sean Unfiltered. Let him know you enjoyed him. The show today is brought to you by Dream Stay Getaways. Dream Stay Getaways. If you're booking a vacation in Florida, you want to go to the parks, perfect place to go. They got multiple houses, themed rooms. You got kids, perfect for you. Go to dreamstaygetaways.us. They are in resorts. They look beautiful. We've showed you the pictures. Go to the website, though. All the information is there. They're on Instagram as well. You can see all of the different layouts. A big verbal nod to our presenting sponsor, Dream Stay Getaways. Book through the site. Don't use Airbnb and Vrbo and that shit. They just drain your bank account with all those goddamn fees. I'm not a person that likes to just sit here and kick the shit out of Daniel Jones. That seems to be a NFL X Twitter fucking bit that happens constantly. But I couldn't believe this stat by your boy Dove. Daniel Jones has not thrown a touchdown in front of home fans at MetLife in 635 days. And the reason I bring this up, Tor, is that your boy Trevor Lawrence, when you look at the statistics, and they've been doing this all week, his career, his stats very much look like Daniel Jones.
Oh, yeah.
Stats. And yet Daniel Jones gets drug every week, and Trevor Lawrence just got the biggest bag anybody had ever seen at the time. It is fucking crazy. I think it's market size. I think it's expectations. Even though the owner of the Jags came out at the beginning of the year and said, we're winning now, that's going to be the end of it. No, you ain't. No, you ain't. It's crazy how that narrative shifts for those two players.
There were tweets about Shad Khan, a typically calm owner, was the angriest, that Jaguars reporter saying angriest I've ever seen him in my life.
How can you not be?
He should be angry for naming doing the Trevor home stadium bit. It's just, how foolish do you feel? And the problem is Jacksonville's supposed to be a baby face. They're not the heel. They're not supposed to be a heel. They have great uniforms, exciting, tall stud quarterback. They've drafted good defensive players. They always
You're so attracted to Trevor Lawrence.
I fucking hate him. I fucking hate that dude. I swear. I mean, it's on sight if I see him, because how are you doing this? How are
you're gonna throw hands with Trevor Lawrence?
Well, he's just proving all these jerk offs right that made those statements that it is concerning that my quarterback that football is not the main priority in his life. It should be. And proving these guys right doesn't help football.
I said at the beginning of the show, Tor, everybody was talking about all the calls last night during that Thursday night game, and I said, Don't believe the NFL's actions. Believe what they show you. They think the refs are good for TV. I think they believe that you and I bitching about the refs and discussing them and the endless debate online. No fans are leaving. There's no egress. I mean, everyone's sticking around, so it doesn't hurt them. They think it's what's best for business. Their actions are telling you that. You don't have to go back and look at Trevor Lawrence's pre-draft comments because I know what you're referring to, and he came out and basically said football's not my whole world. He walked it back a little bit, but look at his actions. Look at his body language. Look at the way he stands in front of a microphone. He's showing you that football isn't what he's necessarily 100% about all the time with the production that you're seeing.
And I think, and it can't all just be Evan Ingram got hurt. Like, that can't be what it is. And they've given him weapons. ETN, really solid. I mean, that was a luxury. Drafting a running back with a rebuilding team that hasn't done dick is a ballsy move. And they're giving him a great weapon out of the backfield. They drafted Brian Thomas Jr. this year, LSU receiver. Just feed it to him. The only reason the Giants are doing anything on offense is because they're feeding their LSU receiver. What a stud Neighbors is.
He's unbelievable, man.
They bring in Christian Kirk. They bring in guys for this dude. They brought in Brandon Scherf. They made him an incredibly high-paid guard. I know he didn't play for him all that much, but they've made the effort to give Trevor Lawrence an offense to thrive. And they gave him Calvin Ridley last year. And he has not – he hasn't made people better. He hasn't made himself better. And it's just going to be some more quiet finger pointing at the head coach. Maybe Doug Peterson really has gotten lapped in the coaching stuff. But I think a good quarterback can mask some of his coach's flaws. And we're not seeing any of that from Lawrence.
You mentioned Neighbors. He was knocked out, of course, with a concussion in the fourth quarter during that loss. If he's out on the field, are things different? I don't know. But 35 receptions toward first, 386 yards, that's first, 3 touchdowns, tied for first. I mean, I have so much respect for young kids that go into that tour. That's a firing squad going into, I got to play in the Meadowlands and it's Daniel Jones and the media's after me and the fans have been losing forever. Like, it is. I don't give a fuck. I'm going to control what I can control. How could you not be a Malik Neighbors fan after this season with what he's already, the production he's already put up? When how many other guys on that team have done nothing, have not elevated their game at all while he's been there?
No, it is, and I'm very excited to yell about the Cowboys in a couple minutes.
Don't yell about the Cowboys
because they were like a high school team in many ways last night. But Neighbors, I mean, he is like a magnetizing figure in football, and he will be that. It just, his athleticism is shocking. When he goes up for a jump ball, he's like levitating. He's a rare athlete for the sport, and I think he's really good for New York to have a guy. And he doesn't seem to have like the Odell I need it all about me gene, where it's a huge dance number in the end zone. I think he's just a true gamer that is elite at football. It's a tremendous start for him.
Someone look this up. Look up what Treylon Burks has done last year and this year, and combine that statistically with what Malik Neighbors has done the first 3 weeks. I hate to, jumping on a guy that clearly isn't going to work out, but he clearly isn't going to work out. And if you look at Treylon Burks, I've seen him in person. Ain't nobody built better. Ain't nobody given more God-given tools to go out there and succeed, but you got to think it's a mentality at some point. If you put Malik Neighbors on the Tennessee Titans, he's not catching goofball Levis's passes for touchdowns. You don't think he's got fucking equal statistics, because he does. He does, even with all those veterans on that team.
I might bum you out here. Treylon Burks' career stats, 51 catches, which Neighbors will probably break by week 8.
Week 8?
676 yards and 1 touchdown.
Well, this is his second year, right? This isn't his third year. He's still
third year, Schoode.
Oh my fucking Lord,
he's got
in heaven.
2 catches for 11 yards this year. I'm so sorry.
Mike, don't feel bad for me, brother. Look, here's what's gonna happen. They're gonna go out and they're gonna beat the Dolphins like they beat the Dolphins last year, and that'll be my Super Bowl. I mean, that'll be the biggest win of the year, and then I can just focus on other things.
Don't worry, I get to watch Ray McLeod have a boxing match every third game. That'll be fun.
I tell you what, though, he is a fucking Kirk has chemistry with him. I wish he had better chemistry with. I don't know. That's what he's always done, though. Kirk always has his favorites that he throws to instead of the really good guys. Unless they're named Justin Jefferson. Mike from Don't Sleep. He gives a fucking nice super chat every show. Love you, brother. Don'tSleepEnergy.com. Use the Duke's promo code. I guarantee you that I love Sean Salisbury. Yeah, man, I don't know how you can't. John got all fucking lathered up about that Watson topic, didn't he? He was all steamed up.
Oh yeah, I think having a program where you can actually let the F-bombs fly, I think he appreciates that. He doesn't abuse that though. He's one of the few that knows how to curse with style, which I appreciate.
He's a fantastic swearer. You know who's a terrible one is Ant-Man. If Ant-Man hears someone swear, he just starts swearing indiscriminately because he wants to be part of the group. Fucking irritating. Mike, thank you so much, buddy. Don't Sleep Energy. I'll see you at the Halloween Hootenanny on Saturday evening. Jorge Gonzalez, $1.99. Thank you for the super chats, everybody. We do accept super chats, you motherfucker. Has Dak earned his contract so far? 2 S's, 2 R's. Dallas, 14th win in 15 matchups. This is not a rivalry. I was talking about how the Redskins had a similar rivalry with the Cowboys while I was a fan. Prescott now, you cannot mitigate the fact 13 consecutive starts against the Giants, second longest quarterback win streak against a single opponent since 1950. He doesn't fucking lose. And if I'm a Cowboys fan, Tor, I'm ending it. But if I can make it past, whatever, mixing the pills and the alcohol. They ran the ball a little bit. Dak looked pretty good. They're getting CD involved, although I'm not handing the ball off to CD Lamb anymore. What the shit is that all about?
That is the most high school stuff I've ever seen. I think the coaching problem in Dallas is tangible. It's real. It's an issue because you're putting CD Lamb in the backfield. It's like I could almost rationalize. I could find a twisted, sick way to rationalize him returning punts. I could find that. Having him run the rock is unbelievable. You're just guaranteeing him a massive crushing blow from a defensive lineman. He's a wide receiver. These positions train differently. If you're trying to force him the ball, just do what everyone else does and cop out with a bubble screen. That's what they should do. I've never seen anything like that before. I mean, it's week 4, and we're seeing that the Cowboys have already abandoned their offseason plans, which was none, but they're already coping to the fact we don't have a legitimate running back.
I don't like seeing them do it with Xavier Worthy, Tor. I mean, you have higher expectations. Here's what you do. If you have a shit quarterback that can't get in a rhythm, you do some of that stuff, right? I got to get the ball in the hands of my playmakers. They're getting frustrated. Let's do some jet sweeps, like you said, some wide receiver screens. But you just paid both of these players more than anyone's ever been paid, and you're resulting this. It's not Tavon Austin or Desmond Howard that we're talking about here. This is supposedly the best wide receiver in football. Get him vertical, get him separation, get him down the field, and get him in the end zone.
You paid Dak Prescott to throw the ball to CeeDee Lamb, and you paid CeeDee Lamb to catch the ball from Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
Not to hand it off. Not handoff ball, which you could have paid Derrick Henry for. You could have paid Aaron Jones for. You could have paid Devin Singletary for. And now he's in I know he had like.
How about Austin Eckler? How about you could have gotten Austin Eckler for a bag of wet hair?
What is this plan in Dallas? If I was a Cowboys fan, I'd be enraged. I would be taking the pills and the ludes and the liquor. I would have to.
Why haven't they called? John Gruden is on YouTube making wacky videos. Call John Gruden right now and fire Mike McCarthy and say, this is now John Gruden's team, and go to the NFC Championship game. What the fuck are we doing? You don't think John Gruden could take this? Well, there was a lot of injuries last night. But Jesus.
I love the new John Gruden stature, where he's obviously getting a little bigger in the midsection, and his forearms. He's got like the stale cracker big forearms, which are it's fantastic. Whatever this evolution is maybe my favorite.
I've been clicking on his videos, so it's been giving me a lot of Frank Caliendo doing John Gruden like in front of like the Raiders and shit. It's not terrible shtick. I'm not the biggest Caliendo fan, but it's pretty good seeing him do Gruden in front of Gruden and his entire team. All right, thank you for the super chat. Corey Rita, thank you for the $9.99, brother. Both types of sports, the perfect cure for another rainy day. Yep, we don't get autumn. We get hot, muggy summer with rain. That's what we get. What did you make, Tor, before we move on from the Cowboys? Brandon Aubrey, Mr. Automatic, missed his first field goal from 50-plus yards in his fucking career. He was 16 of 16 before that. And by the way, what's up with the NFC East where the plan is let's just kick his – I'm not an analytics guy, But
Yes.
let's just kick field goals as much as we possibly can. Doesn't seem like a good long-term plan of action either.
Well, if there's an opportunity for Gigantor to make any fucking money, of course they wouldn't. I mean, oh my God. And the NFL is so, I'm so sick of NFL in Vegas. Are you kidding me? 5.5 line. It ends at 5 on Brandon Aubrey missing his first field. You couldn't have scripted it. The Giants just give the ball back, and now we're forced to kick a field goal with our Iron Man kicker, a superhero with the leg that's deadly accurate, and he pushes it right. Go screw Brandon Aubrey shit list. Sick of you. I don't miss every kick for the rest of the year as far as I'm concerned. Give me my $19.
You going to start a Shizer list like Eastside Dave? I would love for you to start a Shizer list because it would start with fucking Trevor Lawrence every week and then various kickers that cost you money. Corey, thank you so much for the beautiful super chat. We do accept super chats, FYI, just in case any of you were confused. I wanted to play this for you, Tor. What are your thoughts on TJ Houshmandzadeh? That guy personally won fantasy leagues for me in my life, so I always have a soft spot for him.
I'm a fan of him, and I'm a fan of how diehard Bengals he is, even post-career.
I love it. The guy he's on this horrible show. What is the name of that awful show that he's on? Is that Speak First? I don't even know what it's called. It's I think it's the one with not Deuce Staley, not Brian Westbrook, LaShawn McCoy.
Airing it out with Hoosh and Skandrick.
No, that's his podcast. I'm talking about the horrible Fox FS1 show that he's on. I got a clip from it here. Watch this. Tell me what show this is. This is Houshmandzadeh with a very spicy take on quarterbacks in the NFL. And spoiler alert, one that I happen to agree with.
Score touchdowns, but elite quarterback, absolutely. I believe every team in the National Football League, with the exception of probably the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills, would trade their quarterback for Joe Burrow.
No, Baltimore Ravens?
They would trade a quarterback for Joe Burrow.
What is she trying to dress like? Can I ask you that question? Like, what is this uniform she's put together here?
Joy Taylor puts together a lot of outfits.
I feel like she was on Cowherd, right?
Yes.
She's one of the most beautiful women probably alive, and I feel like she does a lot of shit to fuck that up, and I don't know why. I don't know why she does that.
For me, problematically attractive.
Yeah, she really is. But then she'll put shit on her head. She'll like walk out wearing the Deontay Wilder fucking ring gear where he was too heavy and he couldn't throw punches. It's very odd. But problematically attractive is a good way to describe her. And I love Houshmandzadeh's puff. I mean, I just love everything about it.
Fantastic.
Let me play this again because they're gonna treat him like he's a fucking mental patient here. And you might be shocked, Tor, but I have a different take.
But elite quarterback, absolutely. I believe every team in the National Football League, with the exception of probably the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills, would trade their quarterback for Joe Burrow.
No, Baltimore Ravens?
They would trade a quarterback for Joe Burrow.
Okay.
Ooh.
Come on, TJ.
That's what I believe.
Let's just safely say they not trading Lamar Jackson.
The Chiefs and the Bills, everybody else would trade their quarterback for Joe Burrow.
Is that controversial? Let's go down the list. I mean, maybe Jordan Love, Tor, because he's real young.
Maybe Stroud. Maybe Stroud stays in Houston.
I'm trading Justin Herbert for Joe Burrow.
Quickly, yes.
I'm trading Trevor Lawrence. I'm trading Tua Tagovailoa. I'm trading Dak Prescott, Kyler Murray.
Trading Stafford, trading Goff, no question.
Like that in a New York minute. Ooh. Sam Darnold. Sorry about that. Sam Darnold. Kirk Cousins. Are you going to trade? Would you trade Cousins and Penix? I can't even.
I'd trade Cousins and both of my balls out of my body for Joe Burrow.
Oh, Jesus. Fuck you. Why does it always revolve around your yam bag? Every analogy that you make.
I'm losing my mind.
Dude,
football's not healthy for me.
Joe Burrow, let's start with he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Let's start with if Joe Burrow is healthy and 100%, he might be the best quarterback in the league. We'll start there. He's been to a Super Bowl. He's gone on the road and won in the playoffs. He's beaten Patrick Mahomes 1v1. Who in the fuck? Stop me when I get crazy here, okay? I might trade Josh Allen for Joe Burrow. I might. Just because I think in the long run, despite the injuries that Burrow has had, I'm a fucking tank. You're ending your career 5 years before Aaron Rodgers is, 5 years before Tom Brady. You're Cam Newton. Cam Newton was unstoppable. We're acting like Lamar's new and guys like this. Cam Newton was unstoppable for a decade until he wasn't. Because his game. Yeah.
And then it's a cliff. It's not a nice, easy sandbar that you're going to keep walking out in the ocean. You're going to drop off and you won't be able to feel the ground underneath you anymore when these big physical monsters can't run like they did when they were 25. That's how it goes.
I think Houston and Kansas City, those are the only two teams for me. If I'm the general manager, if they call and say straight up quarterbacks, done. My quarterback and a first.
The one thing that Joe Burrow doesn't have going for him is the what have you done for me lately factor, which has mostly been hurt and watching Zach Taylor have weird game plans and weird games. But having a quarterback that if it's clicking is unstoppable is it's a luxury. It's a privilege.
Put him on the Rams, Tor. Put him on the Rams or the 49ers. Put him on a good team. A team that pays their players, a team that values the offensive line, a team that realizes, hey, we can't lose Tyler Boyd and Joe Mixon and T. Higgins like in subsequent years. I mean, the Bengals are one of the worst franchises in sport. Just because Burrow and Jamar Chase have elevated them doesn't change any of that shit.
Yeah, it's really frustrating, but I think if any Bengals fan was being real, they would say when Burrow drops back, they think that ball is going to be completed and they think it's going to be a tremendous pass. Like that. Right. That's the initial thought. Whereas a lot of fans, I mean, what initially goes in your head when Levis drops back? Oh my God.
Disaster.
Yeah. What's going to happen? When Kirk drops back, I'm thinking, okay, maybe he'll complete it. Maybe he'll throw it at the feet. That's where I'm going. Burrow drops back. It's, oh, here comes the Jamar touchdown. Every time. It's just for a little bit. It's watching that roulette ball just bounce and bounce because you get a little adrenaline rush when he's dropping back the pass because you think it's going to be exceptional. And a lot of the times it is. So Burrow still has that factor, even though the Bengals haven't been good the last year. They're bad this year. I'm not sure, but I am not losing faith or selling any hype on Joe Burrow.
If you're Joe Burrow and you don't have that connection with Cincinnati, I don't think he stays there. I don't think he signs that deal. I think he tries to do what Dak was going to do. And you best believe I'm going to get out there and test this open mark. One of these quarterbacks is going to have the balls to do it one day. And I could see him doing it. How could you possibly look at the way the Cincinnati Bengals conduct their business and say, we can build a championship team here? Their window's closed. Like they'll never get back there again. David said in the chat, based on talent, and I'll take 3 years of Stroud getting paid nothing with Burrow at $40 million. I'm not bringing contracts into it, Tor, because all these motherfuckers are going to be paid $60 million a year in the next few years. I'm just talking about what Hushmanzada said, and I don't think maybe it's not 100% true, but there's probably at most 4 guys that you wouldn't trade immediately if you thought you had a chance at Joe Burrow.
I think that Joe Burrow and the Ravens may have a Super Bowl by now because the Ravens.
I completely agree.
They have built defenses. They have a fantastic. If he had the Ravens defense and the Bengals defense at time on their runs was really good. They were playing hard, and now it's like kind of victims out there. It's not great. The D line isn't great. They don't have a full complete team to make a push for the playoffs, and this doesn't feel like the typical Bengals taking September off and they're going to turn it on. It feels like real foundational issues with that team.
Okay, so this was again something that burned up, and I was going to, we've got enough tweets, Tor, where I guess I can play our high-end production that we like to for this segment.
Now it's time for the NFL on X on both types of sports.
Hit the like button. You don't see a lot of shows on the internet talking football and football off season. You don't see a lot of that, but with production value, I've been monitoring some things that people have been bitching about on NFL Twitter for the past 24 hours. This was a big one. And I pulled this clip towards, I know you want to be a sports talk radio host. I don't know, like you're of an age now where I don't even know if the radio is important to you anymore. If you just would like to be at Pat McAfee, where like, okay, if it happens after, I'll build my audience online and we'll go from there. But as a sports talk radio host for over a decade, the amount of interviews I did like this, where there's someone with a big name that had absolutely no desire to give you anything, to help, They didn't respect what you do. They don't respect that you have a vacuum to fill. And we're interviewing you, and we've got to get 10 minutes out of this. By the way, I've prepped 12 questions, but we're already through 9 of them, and we're 90 seconds. So I hope you don't. Have you had? I know you've interviewed some people before. Have you ever had one of those? Because every week with Brian Arakpo, I had those for a fucking full season doing the radio show with Lamar.
Yeah, at times I've interviewed like commissioners that I'm really hoping that they can give a nice detailed answer to a pressing issue in college athletics, and it's like, oh yeah, we're still working for it. You know, we're just going to keep on chopping wood with our administrators. I'm like, okay, that was supposed to be 3 minutes, and now I'm jumping right into the silly questions. Like, that's not how it's supposed to go.
This is
coaching Pittsburgh.
So this is Justin Fields on whatever this is. And I just want you to listen. We can talk about what he says too, Tor, but I just want you to listen to how he responds. And look, I'm a Justin Fields fan. I got a list of guys that I'm happier than a pig in shit for this year, and Justin Fields is on it. But as somebody that was in sports talk radio and had to sit through interviews like this and pull fucking teeth out of a grown man's head, I could feel for whoever these two people are.
Coaching Pittsburgh or Chicago.
That was it. It's not good. Come on.
Coaching Athens or Columbus.
That's Cam Hayward? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, Cam Hayward, and then whoever that is sitting next to him, you're in an unfortunate position. Looks
you're next to this monstrous athlete,
an all-pro defensive tackle, and you're just look at that guy. I mean, he looks like he gets in the gym. It doesn't matter. You get the chairs farther away.
Can you imagine if Cam Hayward was like, "I don't want you to leave this room," and you're like, "All right, guess I'm going to stay here for the rest of my life."
Yeah. Hey,
nothing I could do.
You're going to do some overtime tonight.
Oh, I am? Okay. How long? You know what? Doesn't matter. I'll be here as long as you need me. All right. Listen to what he says here. He's being asked to compare the coaching with the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Chicago Bears.
Coaching Pittsburgh or Chicago.
That was it. It's not good. Come on.
Coaching Athens or Columbus. Okay.
He's so soft-spoken. One-word answers. I'm going to kill myself.
Yeah. This is
teammates. Columbus or Athens?
Surprised he answered this, by the way.
I got to go with Columbus, though.
There you go. Pittsburgh or Chicago?
Pittsburgh.
There we go.
Pittsburgh teammates over Chicago teammates. I wouldn't probably ask about teammates because like there's such a fraternity there, but he played at the highest level possible now that I know who it is. So I guess that's okay. People are fucking shocked that he's saying Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers greater than Eberflus and the Chicago Fails. Why is this noteworthy, Gigantor, other than the fact that Justin Fields is so hot right now, like Hansel?
Yeah, it's just because they're direct. They're not really easy. I'd say that's a hard question to have to answer if you're a current player in the NFL, having to make those choices and know you're going to have to be in locker rooms for hopefully another 10 years. It's just people getting upset. Justin Fields had so much emotion tied in with him in Chicago and his performance, I guess, way more than I would have expected for Justin Fields. And I watched all of Justin Fields in year one, all of it. As not a Bears fan, but just a fan of the NFL, I didn't have much vested emotion into him, or there's a rooting interest to see how he made some exciting plays. But is this the guy that I'm gonna get my heart broken over and have a bunch of old hurt over? No, he's not that type of player. He's not that type of caliber guy that you lost in Chicago. It's not really even close, in my opinion. You keep on watching him. He's throwing for 180 yards and a touchdown, and you're missing that. You're still pissed about that?
Right.
Get a life.
Hit the like button, you cowards. This is the list that I put together. Tell me which one you feel happier for in your Bart of Barts. And then if there's one I'm missing, you tell me that too. Malik Willis, Justin Fields, Sam Darnold. These are three guys whose career was arguably dead in the water. Maybe Fields had a little more mojo because people had the built-in excuse of how chaotic Chicago has been, and they knew they wanted to draft Caleb Williams. But I don't think anybody picked him being the starter, them being 3-0, lording over the division. Darnold, I know he's dinged, but my God, he goes in there. McCarthy's never going to get a shot. They're going to have to pull a Drew Brees, fucking Phillip Rivers, and make a real hard decision if it keeps going this way. And then Malik Tor, I watched him play football. I didn't think he could be a backup in this league, and he's winning consistently. And the Green Bay Packers look great. And if nothing else, they have a fantastic backup if Jordan Love gets dinged again. I'm happy for all three of these guys. Which one hits you in the cockles the best?
Yeah, I'd even throw in Jared Goff. I'm still very happy for him because he was getting trashed
in the NFC Championship game and got a giant bag this offseason.
I know, but his exodus from Los Angeles was tragic. Malik, it's really easy to be happy for him because his comments with the media were like leagues more mature than you would expect it to be.
They were so spot on. They're so fantastic.
It was perfect. And then Darnold's been such a great soldier for the NFL, just going from garbage franchise to garbage franchise, high draft pick. Everyone calls him a bust his whole life. And now he learns football with Kyle Shanahan for a season, and he's a really good quarterback. So I'm happy for him. I think it's probably Malik, though. I mean, Fields, it's fine. I just don't have that interest. It's great, but it could just be a win-win if Caleb Williams becomes a really good quarterback for both teams, whereas Willis abandoned. Yeah,
I don't. Maybe for another team, I don't think the Bears can get it right. Tor, I think this was the best shot they possibly had to get it right, and it's been off the rails. You said garbage franchise, right? I didn't know if I heard that. Oh no! Didn't know if you said garbage franchise or not.
With the Darnold thing, I have a question. Would you trade McCarthy right now? I would. I would trade JJ right now for the value.
You've seen enough?
I've seen enough. Look, I'm saying Darnold he's
first round talent, first overall talent. You got Jefferson locked up. Jordan Addison's coming back. TJ Hawkinson's coming back.
I trade McCarthy right now for picks.
That's ballsy as shit for you to say. Who are you trading him for?
I don't know. I'd get a D lineman. I'd trade him for chips at this point because
how about this? You trade him to Miami for one of those fucking
perfect
studs. Bring a chain or most. You get a pick along with it,
dude. I do it right now because I think what we're going to see from McCarthy next year, if the Vikings do bungle this whole situation, is we're going to see growing pains. We're going to see Sam Darnold-esque growing pains. Whereas now I'm looking at Darnold. Oh, he's grown up. He's gone through the pains. Look at him. He's commanding the offense. He's a true NFL player. I'm not ready to abandon a season of good quarterbacking and stability where we're winning games for a project. That was a project when you drafted him. That's just going to throw enraging picks. I'm over it. Get him out of there. Get him out of there right now.
Jesus, the hostility is the part that I don't understand. Now,
my tone isn't great with it, but I really think that his value is the highest it's going to be.
I just changed your name right down there. I don't know if you saw it, but your new title on the show is going to be Hot Take Tour. Can I play devil's advocate? Because I love where you're coming from. I love being this aggressive. I love impulsive decisions. I really grant impulsive decisions. I love all of it. What if I'm sitting here and I say Kevin O'Connell made it work with old ass Kirk Cousins, made him look like an MVP before he got hurt. Kevin O'Connell made it work with Sam Darnold, who was on the trash heap before this happened. We believe that JJ McCarthy is more talented than both of those guys. Why would I trade him away still on a rookie contract? And now Darnold knows he's the fucking man. He's going to want $35 million a year. Why would I do that?
I could see that if O'Connell really is that guru, but with a lot of these young athletic quarterbacks, which is what McCarthy is billed as, he's not a supremely accurate quarterback, stand in the pocket. He's a run around guy and make something happen, which is a detriment, I think, to a lot of young quarterbacks. Just because Mahomes can do it, he's still a pocket first guy. So McCarthy is a improvise and scramble first guy, which is just leads to injuries. In my opinion, it leads to no command of the offense because you don't know how to actually work it in the pocket. I mean, I'm sure you saw it on your timeline. There's a 5-minute video of Tom Brady working the pocket, just avoiding tackles in the pocket. He wasn't scrambling, but he was avoiding pressure, keeping his eyes downfield, a true sense and awareness that's not, I'm fast enough for my legs to bail me out. I'm going to go scrambling with a linebacker crashing down on me. I think a quarterback like Sam Darnold, who his pocket presence isn't stellar, but it's of good caliber, has more value of being safer and more protected.
That's what I wanted to see from Aaron Rodgers too. It's like, I don't need to see Aaron Rodgers run a bootleg, pick up a 3rd and 8. Like, I want to see him be able to maneuver the pocket, climb the pocket. If he needs to take a step back, if he does need to roll out physically, be able to do that. But do you know how unsexy that is to say on the radio? Do you know what shit I used to take because I didn't want a quarterback running all over the field when that was completely in vogue? And give me a quarterback that can run all over the field, but don't. That just uses it. I think they got one in Houston, by the way, Tor. I mean, I think that guy's an athlete, and he ain't running the football at all.
No.
He's maneuvering inside the pocket to distribute the ball to his talent.
It's perfect. And the Rodgers mobility, when he used it, it was the right decision. That's why it always got so much of a pop. It's because everyone's covered downfield, and I'm just fast enough to get this first down with my legs.
Sure.
That's the right call in the moment. It's making the correct decision of when to use your legs, not start with your legs and then hope you can find someone open and make a right decision from there. It's a complete backwards coaching practice or quarterback development, I think, in college football going up to the pros.
I don't know if Josh Roque is in this chat, but if he is, I need a telestrator a la Madden, because I'm going to, for segments like the one that we're about to do, I'm going to need that moving forward. Now, Tori, you know how I feel about Monk's Barbecue. It's the best barbecue in all of Virginia, but I pulled up this sandwich, and if I had a telestrator, what do you think I would be circling on this sandwich?
Probably the mayonnaise on the sandwich.
Yeah, so help me out here. Chopped patties, melted cheese, lettuce, tomato, sauteed onions, and Duke's mayonnaise. Not just mayonnaise, roping tubes of mayonnaise. You're taking Monk's brisket that he smokes all fucking day and is the best brisket in town, and just roping mayo all over it. I am fed up to death of the term "make it make sense." Please, God, get it out of my timeline. Make this make sense for me, that you're not throwing cold cuts onto a couple of slices of rye bread. This is a work of art. Why are we dousing this with ketchup and roping tubes of mayonnaise?
Yeah, the chopped cheese, it's the steak and cheese. It's just what the New Yorkers call it, where it's just, the onions, the steak, the lettuce, the tomato, mustard,
that's
mayo,
the brisket.
mayo,
That's his brisket that he has on that.
That's not what I would go with. Also, I think that Monk could make a mayonnaise that is 10 times better than Duke's mayo. I think a homemade mayo for Monk's would be the solution. And maybe it doesn't look like
mayo, maybe.
Yeah. And I'm sick of Chipotle mayo. I'm sick of aioli, because aioli is just mayo. So if we're going into the mayo verse,
let's not go into the mayo verse.
I'd rather know that.
I want you to go to the Mayo Clinic. That's where I want you to go.
That's too quick.
That's rough for the football show. That's rough. That should be on the Friday episode of Chad Duke Show. I apologize. Hi there, I'm Jayden Daniels. I'm getting dropped off at the Mayo Clinic because I've had too much mayo. They would not be happy with you if you did that.
No, I'm avoiding them.
I'd like to avoid them myself if I possibly could. Oh boy. All right. I don't know what you do about Trevor Lawrence, by the way. I know everybody is saying they were 2-6 in 2022. They end up 9-8. They win the AFC South. None of that is happening with the Texans sitting there. I don't care how ratchet the Colts are, how ratchet Anthony Richardson is, the fact the Titans are going to maybe win one game this year. If Houston's sitting there at the top of that fucking heap, you cannot turn in a performance like you did on Monday Night Football and expect to do anything. And it wouldn't surprise me, Tor, if Trevor Lawrence gets Doug Peterson's ass fired by the middle of the season.
There's been a discourse after that Monday Night Football game about Trevor Lawrence possibly ruining Urban Meyer's NFL career.
I love it.
Are you serious? Like, this is how, and that means it's tangible. If these crazy ass takes are coming out, then that means the baseline of his of how people are analyzing him, it's bad. That because as hyperbolic as anybody wants to be with the online jokes, it's truth is said in jest, and that is true. People are saying, "Wow, this guy is so bad. Maybe one of the worst NFL coaches ever." With stories out the ass, grinding on girls when he's not on the team playing, kicking his kicker in the back before warmups. All the heinous stories. Now he's becoming the baby face because of how poorly Trevor Lawrence has played. unbelievable.
Did you see that chick that was grinding on him? I think we all would have risked it all that night. I had no problem with her, but he should have got back on the plane, though. You got to stop it before you get to the point where that's happening, because then after that, it's game over. Atlanta is giving the Saints 2.5. Tor. This is a big game. 2-1 Saints, 1-2 Falcons. They got a kind of a stretch here where they got the Panthers and the Buccaneers coming up. The division is going to shake out over the next couple of weeks in the NFC South. I don't know why they won't run Bijan Robinson outside more than they do. I think he's the best in the league at it, other than Christian McCaffrey. But the Falcons, 6 third down conversions this season, which is the fewest in the NFL, 22% third down conversion rate. I don't think we're going to see the Saints go out there and score 12 points again. That is not going to get it done if they want to take control of this division.
Yeah, and I would welcome Jesse Bates and Justin Simmons into my home and give them any possession that they wanted. Like, that's where I'm at with them. They're just two beautiful safeties. I'm in love with them. It's already unhealthy. I'm deleting DMs before I send it to them.
Sure.
But the third down stuff, this is where the Kirk injury is still fleshing itself out, because there's not much fear of the Falcons if you get them on third down. All you have to do is cover. You don't have to even contain Kirk, because he's not going to scramble for it. We saw a 3rd and 2 against the Chiefs where Kirk maybe 2 years ago walks and gets that first down across the marker, but he gets tripped up and he falls and he looks slow and old. And that's, if he can be slow and old and dot up defenses, that's all I need him to do. But there's 2 things you got to worry about. It's the outside stretch to Bijan, or I guess Ray McLeod on a deep under. And other than that, it's going to be jump balls, and the defense is going to be able to get off the field. So the Saints could put 28 up in the first half and the game could be over, or it could be a tight game. Drake London fumbles and the Saints win it while he tries to fumble away every single ball that he catches.
I got a couple of nuggets for you. First of all, Kyle Pitts has been a non-factor. If you are a fantasy owner, you're bitter. 8 receptions, 24.6 fantasy points for the fucking season. But New Orleans gave up 10 catches to Dallas Goedert, 27 fantasy points. Look for that. I didn't know this, Tor, and this is probably why you're such a moody bitch. The Falcons are favored over the Saints for the first time since week 3 of 2018. They see each other twice a year. The Saints have been favored the last 11 times they've played, no matter where it is.
With Taysom Hill starting, with
true.
Derek Carr and they lost to Taysom Hill starting at quarterback. But this game is also vitally important because this could be the first time, I believe, the series between the Saints and the Falcons is awfully like knotted up right now. I'm trying to find, it's like 56-56. Atlanta's up 56 or 55-55. If the Falcons lose, it'll be the first time since the Saints won their first matchup against each other where the Saints had the all-time lead. It can't happen. They can't lose this game. They're going out in the retro uniforms. The Falcons are going to look great. I like, that's what I'm excited for. Let me see the uniforms. Let me see the guys run around in them. But I can't. But losing the all-time series in this fashion, it'll break me.
Yeah, for those people that don't know the uniforms which Tor is discussing, I think they're the second best uniforms in the league. What does "on my mama, on my hood" mean, Tor?
It's just a rap verse. You know, you put it on your mama, you put it on your hood.
Why would an NFL franchise worth $2 billion tweet that out?
Yeah,
I tweeted out, not sure what my mother has to do with this, but these are the best unis in the league till the Titans wear the Oilers throwbacks. I stand by that, by the way. I know Sal stands on business, but I stand by the fact that those are the best uniforms out there.
My only issue is that it's Onyemata's uniform, who hasn't done anything for this team. It just really, we're bringing in this big defensive tackle from the Saints, and all we did was watch him sack Matt Ryan and sack Taylor Heineke, and I haven't seen him get a sack in Atlanta since. So I'm glad we made that signing, Terry. But the uniforms are stellar. They should just go back to them. I think we're probably... you think we're a dozen years away before these teams finally get the message and say we're abandoning the modern stuff and we're going back to what actually worked?
Move slowly, man. You're seeing that with comedy now. People allowed to starting to be able to make jokes again and shit like that. Everybody's kind of slow. It's hurry up and wait. It's like the army. So I hope so. I hope they realize that nothing they've come up with on their own is better than what was on these uniforms back in the early 80s, late 70s.
Like they have Atlanta is a team with the black and red and the whites. That's a color combination that should work with black uniforms. But every time I see their black uniforms, it's not like intimidating Oakland Raiders or Steelers black uniforms. It's just, it doesn't work. These new ones, they don't work. There's not enough going on, or there's too much going on. The black isn't black enough. It's not what a black uniform should be.
You get to do a game day this Sunday in between 1 and 4?
I believe so, yes.
Let's do it. Make sure you're following us on social media, both types sports, X and Instagram. We go live on Sundays in between the early and the late games as well. Slap that like button. And if you'd like to subscribe on iTunes and Spotify, very easy. Just search both types of sports on iTunes or Spotify, and you will find us. It's free. Leave a 5-star review. And thank you to Dream Stay Getaways for presenting the show. DreamStayGetaways.us to avoid all them their charges. Now, Tor, when you saw those roping tendrils of mayonnaise on the fucking sandwich from Monk's Barbecue, would you describe them as short or long?
Oh, they looked pretty long.
Hey, what do you got?
Both types of sports.
Yeah, what's it do? Go long. Real long. Nice toss.
Both types of